quick little recipe is a 2-ingredient frozen yogurt that we are adding Oreos to make it just like cookies and cream, but even better. Before we get started, subscribe to our YouTube channel. This way we can cook together more and have even more dessert together. You know what? So embarrassing. So the 2 ingredients for our frozen yogurt are whole milk yogurt. So you want it to be plain, not strained or Greek. This way the ice cream is the right texture. Granulated sugar. So for this we have like just under 1 cup because some of that sweetness is also going to be coming from the cookies. And then bonus ingredient, just a pinch of salt, and that's going to balance out all that sweetness. So to prepare the frozen yogurt is truly just as simple as whisking together the quart of yogurt and the sugar that we have measured out. So the measurements for this recipe are super easy to remember because you just buy a quart of yogurt, dump the whole thing in. This is inspired by a genius frozen yogurt that was featured in the column like 4 years ago. I've been making it ever since then. It's so delicious and it's really fun to riff on. So now we are gonna add our sugar and then about half a teaspoon of salt, or you could just eyeball a big pinch. So the salt is just gonna kind of tame the sugar from the cookies and in the frozen yogurt itself, and it's gonna make the whole thing much more balanced. And that's it. That's all we need to do to prepare our frozen yogurt. At this point, we're gonna stick it in the fridge. So just like if you were making ice cream or sorbet, the mixture that is going in your ice cream machine should be very cold before it's churned. That's where you're gonna get the best, creamiest, fluffiest texture. So I'm going to stick it in the fridge, get it totally chilled down, and then we'll move on to the next step. We are going to prep the Oreos and then get them in the freezer. So any chocolate sandwich cookie works here, but we're gonna be chopping it up in a slightly strategic way. So 6 of these are gonna get halved, 3 of these are gonna get quartered, and then all the remaining ones are going to get finely chopped. The reason we're doing this is so by the time you get to the finished frozen yogurt, you are going to have some big pieces of cookies, some cookies that get distributed all through the mixture, and it's gonna have this textural contrast to it, and it's gonna be a really nice mix. If we chopped all of them the same size, they would kind of end up the same size in the finished frozen yogurt, and that wouldn't be quite as fun to eat as if you have like a big piece of cookie and then a tiny piece of cookie. Just makes the end result a lot better. And then these remaining 9 cookies, I'm gonna just finely chop them. So keep in mind that the cookies are going to break up in the ice cream machine itself. So you can chop them slightly bigger than you want them to end up. Now that they are all chopped different sizes, we can combine them all together and get them in the freezer. So the reason that you want to freeze any mix-in that's going in a frozen yogurt or an ice cream is because you spend all this time in the ice cream machine getting the mixture super cold. And if you add in a room temperature mix-in, it's going to immediately drop the temperature of the frozen yogurt and compromise that texture. So by sticking the cookies in the freezer and making sure they're super cold, we're actually gonna make sure that the frozen yogurt texture is so much creamier and more delicious. Now that our frozen yogurt mixture has been chilling for a few hours, we are ready to churn. So I'm gonna plug in my ice cream machine and get the mixture from the fridge. And I'm also gonna grab the frozen bowl that's gonna go in the ice cream machine. So this depends on what kind of ice cream machine you have. For me, I have to make sure this is frozen at least 24 hours in advance. This way it is super, it's like feels really cold. It's super cold when it goes into the machine. Woo! Okay, and that's it. Now just close it up. I'm going to start the machine and then I'll just pour in the frozen yogurt mixture. And that will churn for like 20 to 30 minutes, depending on your machine. This is churning, and toward the end of the churning time, we are gonna sprinkle in the Oreos, and then it'll be cookies and cream. So I will see you in 25 minutes. So now that the frozen yogurt is almost done churning, we are ready to add our frozen Oreos. The frozen yogurt, it kind of looks like soft serve at this point. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push in the Oreos and then use a flexible spatula to kind of make sure they get all the way to the bottom. So I'm just letting it churn for like another minute or so, just to make sure all the Oreos get incorporated. So now our frozen yogurt is all churned, and I am going to get it into a couple containers. So this beater is my favorite part. I usually just stick it in the bowl, and then whatever is clinging to it is like cook's treat. So at this point, the frozen yogurt, you could eat it just like this. It actually has that kind of soft serve texture that you would get at a frozen yogurt shop. Or you could stick it in the freezer, and then it'll become a little bit more dense, sort of like an ice cream. We have a pretty full quart here. I'm gonna stick this in the freezer, and then we have like a couple servings left. So if you wanna just grab me a bowl, Justin. So at this point, it's very custardy. You probably wanna eat it right away. Or you can stick this in the freezer, let it chill for like 20 or 30 minutes. It'll still be pretty soft serve-y, but it'll be a really nice snack for whenever you need it. So now we will let that freeze. We are gonna eat this as a snack, and we will see you in a bit. This is a batch of cookies and cream frozen yogurt that we made the other night. It's been hanging out in the freezer. Justin has been eating it almost every single day. Now it is ready to eat. Luckily, we have some left over. I let it sit out for a little while just so it softens up a bit and gets nice and scoopable. So you can see we have those big cookie chunks, like small cookies swirled in between. So it's gonna be so good. I'm so excited to eat it. Our full recipe for the cookies and cream frozen yogurt is on Food 52. Let me know what kind of toppings you would put on this, what kind of frozen yogurt you like making at home, and I'll talk to you soon.